Good evening, I am Ash, this is the 3 Count, and you are watching the Aerial Offensive, the Cruiserweight review show hosted by me. Now, there wasn't exactly much exciting that happened this week on 205 Live, even though this was supposed to be a night worth of payoffs. We were supposed to see an amazing debut from Hideo Itami, who did debut, but it was kind of, in my opinion, spoiled by the fact that he debuted on Monday Night Raw before he came to 205 Live, which is where all of his debut vignettes have been airing. So I was kind of let down by the fact that he was on Raw before his 205 Live appearance, which they should have done first, which would have attracted a few more viewers to the product, and then air him on Raw. But that's just me. Not only that, but on Monday Night Raw, we were shown the match between Cedric Alexander and Drew Gulak in their number 1 contendership match to take on Enzo Amore for the Cruiserweight Championship. Now that should have been a blow-up tonight for 205 Live, but unfortunately was not. The match happened on Monday Night Raw with Cedric Alexander eventually winning over Drew Gulak, who put up a very tough performance against Alexander. Enzo Amore came to the ring with Drew before resorting to going up to the announce table to do commentary and then leaving just before the match was finished, which is where the match really swung in Alexander's favour. It was found out later on in the night, after Enzo left the commentary desk because he was looking at his phone, it was found out that Nia Jax had actually tweeted him telling him to check his DMs. After he apparently must have checked his DMs, he disappeared backstage. Now, we didn't even get any payoff for that, even on 205 Live. I really think that if they want to bring some more viewers to 205 Live, dangle a thread from Raw and pay it off on 205. You're going to show the highlights on Raw next week anyway. Yes, the more mainstream audience will probably be really pissed with the fact you've started off a storyline on one show but finished it on another, but sometimes you have to make compromises. But that happened on Raw, and then we didn't even... It was mentioned just a little bit at the beginning of 205 Live, but then wasn't really explained upon. Like, Enzo didn't say why he had to leave, where he was going. He didn't mention that it was Nia Jax. It could have just been coincidental, the fact that Nia Jax did tweet him and then he left. We all know that that's not going to be the case, but that's how the wacky world of wrestling works. It could be that is what we're thinking, and it could be something else entirely. But I'm really already quite upset with the whole Nia Jax and Enzo Amore storyline, and it hasn't really taken off yet. But that's Monday Night Raw out of the way. On to 205 Live. Our first match of the night was a tag team bout between Kalisto and Gran Metalik taking on Gentleman Jack Gallagher and the Brian Kendrick. Now, it's just your run-of-the-mill match. There wasn't any sort of standout spots. Neither team really over-excelled, considering that they've been building up a nice bit of tension between Kalisto and the team of Gallagher and Kendrick. Gran Metalik just sort of appeared last week during the entrance of Gallagher and Kendrick. They both said that they didn't have a problem with Metalik until he decided to get his nose in where it didn't belong. And that was in the business of Kendrick and Gallagher and Kalisto. Now, he obviously got involved. He was saving his friend last week, and this week they were saying that you're going to have to pay the consequences, and we really hope it was worth it. Now, the match itself was quite boring. It was quite drab, to be honest with you. I was expecting a little bit more, considering you had 2 luchadors in one corner, and then you had the crafty heels, and I thought that might have had a nice bit of dynamic between it, but nothing really developed on screen. It wasn't until after the bell rang that we actually got to see anything. The match ended with the faces winning, which, well, you say winning. They won via disqualification. The match was thrown out by the referee. They didn't actually say that Kalisto and Metalik had won, but obviously if it comes to a disqualification, they didn't say the word disqualification either, but this was a clear disqualification. So I'm going to say that the faces won this match via a DQ, while the commentators were saying the match was being thrown out. No, it's a disqualification. And after the match, Gallagher and Kendrick jumped Metalik and Kalisto again. They threw Kalisto into the steel post, and that landed him outside the ring. And then they took Gran Metalik to the other side of the outside of the ring. They They removed the steel steps from the ring post, put his leg between the two, and then Brian Kendrick sort of drop kicked the steel steps into the leg of Gran Metalik. Now, that was pretty nice. They did warn Metalik before the match even started that there was going to be consequences to him getting involved, and hopefully he'd be able to pay them. There was also a spot as well, unfortunately, because you get dickhead fans like this in the world today. But Kalisto was obviously out cold on the outside of the ring whilst this was all happening. The camera actually went to a close-up of Kalisto's face, only to just in time catch a water bottle being thrown full force into Kalisto's face. The camera then quickly panned straight back over then to Gran Metalik, so you didn't really see anything else, but you definitely saw a referee run over to Kalisto's aid in the background. And I think this is just disgusting. Like, why do you need to do this? These guys are in there, they're doing their job, they're performing an entertainment service for you guys, and you just decide to throw a water bottle on them, because why not? It's just really not called for. You wouldn't like if somebody came to your place of work and just absolutely started lambasting you with refuse, other just sort of junk, water. Doesn't matter what it is, but the superstars don't deserve it, so don't do it. Just really simple. And it's just absolutely disgusting behaviour on anybody's part. We then went backstage for a segment with Amore, Daivari and Gulak, with Amore saying that he was really disappointed with the way that Gulak lost the match last night, even though technically you could say that Gulak lost that match because Enzo had gone backstage and he didn't come to Gulak's aid, didn't actually treat Gulak as, the man in the match, the competitor, the person that he wanted to win. He didn't act like a manager and even try to get Gulak over. It was just, I'm the Cruiserweight champion, I'll sit up here, I'll do this, I'll do that, I've got a tweet saying, come check your DMs, I leave. But he was saying that he was disappointed with the fact that Gulak lost, and then he started taking out on Daivari as well, even though the Daivari wasn't even at ringside or anything to do with last night's match. Gulak then interrupted Amore, stating that he was going to ground Cedric Alexander for good. Now every time he said that he was going to ground Cedric Alexander, Amore was saying he wanted to see more fire from Gulak. He wanted to see more passion, more love from Drew Gulak. So Drew Gulak eventually was screaming at Enzo that he was going to ground Cedric before storming off, and you can hear him fuming in the background. Now I am really, really starting to get behind Drew Gulak. When I first started watching 205 Live, even when I was watching the Cruiserweight Classic, I was not a big fan of Gulak. I didn't really see much about him to like. But his character development over the past couple of weeks have been absolutely amazing, and it's stuff that I just want to see continue. Then a hiccup. Excuse me. Then we have the match that I've been waiting for ages. Hideo Itami's debut. Now, I think you need to make him look strong, and they did. They did make him look strong, but they did it all sorts of wrong. They had him go up against somebody called Colin Delaney. Now, I'm pretty sure I've heard that name before. I just can't remember where. He was basically a local competitor, and the problem here is that you've got Hideo Itami, you've been psyching him up to be this really big bad of NXT. Unfortunately, the guy's been plagued by injuries, by unfortunate bookings where he's gotten injured. Every time he looks like he was going to turn on a corner and make a break in the NXT division, he'd get hit by another injury. So I think it's about time that they did bring him up to the main event, onto the main roster, sorry. But they've done it wrong by sticking him in with somebody no one knows, no one cares about. How are we supposed to be able to get behind this person? Yes, okay, he's going to look strong, but why against this person? And this person, Colin Delaney, was overselling everything. Every kick he made sound like a fucking gunshot. Every punch he flung himself across the ring. This was just overselling, which really didn't need to happen. Just make the shot look like it hurts, bump correctly, and sell where the moves are going to be hurting you further into the match. Now, this match lasted about 2 minutes, and it did show off Hideo Itami's high offense, his brilliant martial arts skills, his amateur background in kickboxing. It showed all of that from his time as Kenta from New Japan and Noah. And it was just it did show you in 2 minutes basically what he can do. It was just a bit annoying that all the way throughout the match, that's all Itami was shouting was, respect me. Now, he put that up on Twitter when he was announced to be debuting on 205 Live, but it just annoys. Why is he saying this? He never said it on NXT, and I don't think he needs to chant to be respected. He hasn't been on the main roster for long enough to be respected. There's no reason for this chant to exist yet. Maybe if he was going a little bit further down the line and his character's not picking up, fine, use this gimmick. But this gimmick, I think, is a bit too much too soon for the character where he is. Either way, Itami won the match with a GTS, which also annoyed me because Itami is the person that created the Go to Sleep. But yet, when he went for the GTS, the entire crowd started chanting CM Punk, and I think as much as I love CM Punk, I mean, you can go back and look at a few of my videos, I've probably worn my CM Punk jersey on this show. Maybe not Aerial Offensive, but somewhere on the 3 count, I have worn it. But I think it's about time we just let the whole CM Punk thing go now. It's been damn near 4 years. You know, I think it has been. Well, it was the Royal Rumble 2014 was the last time we saw CM Punk on WWE television. I think it's about time we just let it drop, because it's not fair to the superstars that are in the ring today. CM Punk now was there 4 years ago. Let's move on. I think that'll be best for us, the superstars. You know, it's just making our enjoyment of the product that little bit better. After the match, we went to another backstage segment. It was a backstage interview with Enzo Amore, being asked why did he assault Tony Nese. Well, I wouldn't say after the match. We didn't even have a match with Tony Nese last week at 205 Live. And Amore said that it was basically a learning curve for the Zo Train. And he was making out how, you know, all of these things that he's doing is for the Zo Train's benefit. And then Cedric Alexander jumped in. Enzo Amore saying that, you know, he's the real one, you know, you don't learn stuff like that. So Cedric Alexander said, no, you know, you could be the real one in your own little fantasy world for all you care. But in this world, there's only one word to describe you. And Alexander just walked away. And as he walked away, the camera panned back over to Enzo Amore. Enzo looked at the camera and goes, you know what? He's right. And he said, champion. And then walked off as well. Now, I liked that because it showed that he wasn't allowing his own catchphrase to be used against him. And I quite like the spin there, because I thought at first he was going to go, you know, why you can't use my catchphrase? The same that all superstars normally do whenever their catchphrase is used against them. But it was spun quite nicely here to where Enzo could, you know, hold face a little bit and keep moving forward. Then we moved into the main event of the evening, Drew Gulak with Enzo Amore taking on Cedric Alexander, a rematch from last night's Raw. Now, instead of having Drew Gulak's music hit, we had Enzo's music hit, and Drew looked a bit pissed off. He was, you know, right in the zone. I'm really loving this intense side of Drew Gulak. They got into the ring. Enzo gave his his custom-made microphone over to Drew. Drew said that he's not doing the PowerPoints tonight. He's got his head on. There's a time for clip arts and there's a time for being serious. And he said that he's serious tonight and he's going to get the win back after the biggest loss of his career from 24 hours ago on Monday Night Raw. Alexander just strolls down to the ring like he normally does. You know, his music hits. He's in the ring. That's all good to go. The bad thing about this match was the fact that throughout the match, I think the microphones are just a little bit too close to the competitors. You could hear pretty much all of the moves being called ahead of time. You could hear when Cedric was calling it, then you could hear a couple of seconds later when Drew was responding. You could see when they were strategically placing their hands over each other's mouths and covering each other's spaces to make the move calls, which we all know happens. But it was obvious, and you could hear it. It was quite audible, and it just took you out of the moment a bit. You know, like Enzo was doing his best to try and cover it all up a background noise by shouting into the ring, but it just wasn't happening. There's only so far you can suspend your disbelief. But if that's all you can hear is the move being called, and then you can see it happening 3 seconds later, it does kind of take you out of the action a bit. This match was all Drew Gulak right at the beginning. It sort of had a twist in the middle, where Cedric threw Drew Gulak out of the ring. I think Cedric was supposed to have been caught after he jumped over the top rope onto Drew. Now I think Drew was supposed to catch him, but I think Drew must have been a bit stunned or dazed, but he clearly wasn't in time to turn on and catch him. Cedric realised this in midair, corrected to try and land on the outside of the floor, but while he was in the middle of correcting to land, Drew realised what he was supposed to be doing, got close to try and catch him, and instead got a boot to the face, courtesy of Cedric Alexander. So this is just one big botch here. Obviously an accident, but Cedric's boot caught Drew square in the face. Nice busted open mouth for his troubles as well. After that, it was all sort of just Cedric Alexander. Trying to read my stuff whilst talking to him. Then it was all sort of Cedric Alexander again. They sort of wrestled around the ring a bit. Then it sort of buffered a bit. There's this nice new submission move that Drew Gulak's got. I don't know the name of it, but every time he uses it, he should technically be getting pinned, because he sort of makes it look like an STF, and then it's not. It's a standing. He's standing. The person's on the floor, sort of STF. If somebody knows the name, please tell me in the comments or send me a message, because I don't know the name of this move. But it's like a standing STF, and then he sort of reverts to rolling onto his back and lifting the person above him, adding more pressure. But both of his shoulders are on the floor, so technically the referee should be counting down for a 3, but it never happens. This spot was put on Raw last night, and I think it was a bit cheap to repeat it again on the next night on 205 Live, not SmackDown. Like SmackDown have been copying Raw's women's division for some reason. But this was the same thing. But then we saw Cedric go to the top ropes after Drew rolled out. He quickly climbed to the middle from the outside to try and stop Cedric. Cedric was going to go for like a superplex off the top ropes, and then Cedric was knocked down by Drew. Drew then, obviously with this whole, no high-flying things, it's like one of his rules from his PowerPoint presentations, sort of stood on the top ropes and his knees were shaking, was trying to sell that he's not really good with heights. He then got onto the middle rope, and then that's where Cedric Alexander came over and just hit him with a lovely lumbar check off the middle rope. Technically, it's not off the middle rope. He pulled him onto one leg onto the apron, well, the ring. This wasn't on the outside, this was in the ring. Then hit him with the lumbar check, and then hit him so hard that Drew actually bounced behind him instead of in front of him. And I mean, he hit him quite well. And that was it then. That was it. 1, 2, 3, Cedric Alexander with back-to-back wins over Drew Gulak on Monday and 205 Live. Now, Enzo Amore was outside and he was obviously getting quite pissed. Got onto the apron. Cedric was trying to offer him to come into the ring to have a fight. And then Dave Vari appeared behind Cedric Alexander, went to attack him, and Alexander reversed that into a lumbar check for his troubles as well. So, Cedric's laid out 2 members of the Zo Train. Enzo backs up the ramp and fade to black. And other than that, there wasn't really much to talk about 205 Live this week. It's quite a boring affair. I could actually feel myself nodding off for certain parts of the show. The tag match should have been better at the beginning of the night. I really think that with the guys involved, you could have put on a much more technical match mixed with a bit of high flying, especially with the submission moves that we all know that Jack Gallagher is good with. We could have seen something. There was a nice spot where Jack Gallagher did take the piss out of Kalisto by using Eddie Guerrero's move, where he goes like that and then does the whole shoulder shuffle. But that was a good bit of heat. But there wasn't all that much really to talk about here tonight. But that was 205 Live. It was a subpar show, one of those ones you really don't need to catch, but that's why this show is here. That's why I offer you guys the Aerial Offensive. So if you don't want to watch it, but you do want to keep up to date with all the storylines that are within the WWE, you have me here presenting to you guys the Aerial Offensive, so I can watch the shows that you don't really want to. But I am here, I'm keeping you guys in on the loop. The storylines are fresh, they're still coming out, and I'm going to be here telling you all of the stuff that is happening on the Cruiserweights show. Now, that's it for me this week. I will see you next week. I'm just going to check this out now. There will be no show at all from me. I don't know if Joel's going to be doing anything, but there's going to be nothing from me on Christmas Day. I don't do anything on Sundays besides special events anyway, so there's nothing on Sunday. But there will be no Monday Night Raw off the 3 count on Christmas Day, but you will have a Monday Night Raw, will return January 1st, the week after. So, but 205 Live shows will continue on this channel as well. I will give you it on Boxing Day, be it a little bit later than normal, because I will have company that time and I'll need to wait for it all to go a bit quiet before I can come and talk to you guys. But, yeah, the Aerial Offensive will be here. The 205 Live's reviews will still be going on. Everything else I think will be normal, but nothing from me Christmas Day. So, I've been Ash, you've been watching the Aerial Offensive on the 3 count, and I wish you all a good night.